Okay. So today what we are going to do is essentially uh, completing the wire models. We discussed wires. Now we'll look at wire delay models and stuff. And then we will start with inverter today. Okay. So wires, all of us know, are there along the entire chip. They run from one end of the chip to another. These are global wires. And then there are interconnects. You also use wires when you design your circuits and everything. Hmm? So that much is uh, you know evident to all of you. Now, what is very important to realize is also that as technology is scaling, devices are becoming faster. Hmm? Because of technology scaling, your channel length is reducing, so current is increasing, or the time to the device current per unit micron square is increasing. All that is happening. So device delays are becoming lesser. However, we understand that as the wires come closer, their capacitance increases, and as they become thinner, their resistance also increases. So what would be happening to the interconnect delays? So we are saying device delays are reducing as technology scales, but what happens to the interconnect delays as technology scales?
So they increase.
The interconnect delays increase. So it is very important to understand how to model interconnect delays in your circuits and what kind of uh, delays can happen because of interconnects. So in an advanced SOC and where you have possibly long critical paths also, uh, one data point shows that up to 70% of total delay in a critical path was RC delays. So there is a critical path on a global signal. This global signal is running from one place to a distant location on the same die. And up to 70% of total delay in that critical path was due to wires. In small circuits, just about 20 to 30% of delay could be because of wires. But in big circuits, that is the kind of impact, or big circuits means big systems, up to 70% of delay could be because of RC interconnects. Okay. So what I'm showing as of now is the most simple or the simplest model of a wire delay. So what is it? You simply model the capacitance. You're not even modeling the resistance of the wire. You club all the capacitance into one C lump and you say that is all it is. Do you think this is okay?
Sir,
Yes, Rakash?
so this C lump, this is, so for example, in the earlier slides, you showed us the C adjacent and C ground, right? A figure. So that C lump is characterizing all those capacitances with the
Everything.
intermetal. In,
Yeah. Everything.
okay.
So this is, let us say this C wire is distributed over 100 microns. So C lump is summing of all those. कहीं पे there was a intrametal capacitance, कहीं पे there was intermetal capacitance, कहीं पे there was metal to substrate capacitance. All of that is added and put as C lump.
Okay, sir.
So do you think this is accurate?
No, sir.
No, na? Why? First thing I just mentioned that resistances are not taken care of at all. And just the driver resistance is brought into picture. So when the resistances were less, let us say in 180 nanometer technology or 250 nanometer technology, this model could have worked. But today, when we're talking about 18 nanometer, it no longer works. So what do? We look at the next model. The next model is lumped RC model, where we say that, okay, we will also model the resistances, but not too many of them. Okay. And we say that the delay or the effective resistance from node I, let us say this is node I, to node K, let us say this is node K. would be given as sum of RJs, where RJ is elements of all that. So effectively delay is K from 1 to N, Ck into Rik. So what is, I'm not sure if we have an example. Okay. So this is something that is important, and I would want you to do some numericals from the question bank that we already have made available on this. Okay. What is important to see is how does Rik change when I'm talking about delay at node 2 or delay at node I or delay at node 4. Okay, it is simple. You just need to apply this kind of formula and you will get there. But I want you to work on some numericals for this. These are simple. This is simple addition and multiplication. Can I assume you can do this?
So what you're saying is that 2, 4, and 1 are respectively the different output points that I'm taking in this circuit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Could be, na? One inverter could be driving four inputs somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
Then a NAND gate output could be going to 2 places.
Yes, sir. So one thing I wanted to ask, right? Key, for example, sir, when we are, for example, say we are having 2 gates and there's a wire between them. So what we talk about the delay happening is first of all, there's the input pin capacitance of the gate that is driven. Then there's the wire thing. And then there's also the capacitance intrinsic to the device itself. So this C basically characterizes all of that. I couldn't understand that.
Let us say Ci would be the wire of the capacitance and the wire of the the capacitance of the gate, also the capacitance including CGD, CGS plus CGB, everything. That is the load that we are putting at that node 4 or node I or anything.
So because since it's a metal wire, so in itself it doesn't have any capacitance, but we are more.
Why?
No, sir. If we take an individual wire only.
No, there is a substrate on which it will run, na?
Okay.
Substrate is ground. So there is always a capacitance of even an isolated wire with ground or VDD, whatever.
So I couldn't get that, sir. What you're saying?
So when I draw a wire, let us say I made a wire. And there is no other material around it. Because this is just a wire. There was some contact, some via there, and there was some other wire through which it was coming. So abhi is part ko bhul jate hain. Let us forget the capacitance of this part, and let us say this is the other part of the wire whose capacitance I want to see. Let us say this is the substrate. So if there is no other metal around here to which lines of electric field lines would go, then the line of forces would go to the ground.
So into the substrate, right?
Into the substrate. So there will be a capacitance with substrate. No wire can exist without any capacitance. Now, capacitance value may be less or it could be large. That's a different thing.
Because even between the intermetal, there's silicon dioxide, right? So it is also there.
Yeah. So there would be definitely some capacitance between this. All that would be there. But मैं तो कह रहा हूँ substrate के साथ भी एक capacitance है. If you make a cut over here, there will be so many lines of forces that you'll be cutting. So that will give you a measure of capacitance between these two.
So but say for example, I'm taking a metal 3 wire and it is isolated. So I have below it a silicon dioxide, right?
Yeah.
So one is the one charge plate.
Silicon dioxide is a dielectric. So all
yes,
this
sir.
is, let us say this is metal 3. Let us say this is metal 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is dielectric.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell me.
Okay.
There will still be the substrate, na? Substrate which could be considered as the other plate of the capacitor. There is this one plate, there is the other plate, and this other plate is say held at GND or VDD. Let us say GNDS and VDDS, substrate level. What's the big deal?
So it is the basic P substrate, right? You're talking about.
Yeah, P substrate or N substrate. So this is P substrate, this is N substrate, N well.
Okay. So, but still, as we go higher up, this component will get negligible, right?
Yes, it will reduce.
Okay.
It will reduce because what happens is then what happens is that it will reduce simply because there will be other wires to which these lines of forces will end. As you go higher up, कहीं ना कहीं पे तो कुछ ना कुछ और वायर उसके इस रेडियाई में आ जाएगी.
Okay.
है ना? So some wire would be in their metal 5 somewhere, far away. But even then, that is closer than what you will see in the ground. So these line of forces will dominate them. But
Okay.
every isolated wire will have some capacitance because there is current flowing through it. So there is bound to be electric field. Those lines of field would terminate somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So, but like in our model, this delay model, we are basically characterizing all the capacitances, whether intra, and this also in this model.
All that is clubbed into this place.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
And what we are saying is that wherever I had a turn in the wire or wherever I had a bifurcation in the wire, that is where I also bifurcate my I kind of make a split and I put a capacitance there, and then I have the other resistance coming into picture and so on.
Okay. Okay, sir. Got it.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, here if we are talking solely about the wires, then in that case, this model would not contain the gate capacitances of the MOSFETs and the output, the intrinsic capacitances.
At the terminal, that is 2, 4, and CI, it would contain the gate because that's the load.
So, sir, if we talk about a tool, maybe, so it uses some kind of
If you talk about the
some tool like, for example, Genus or anything like that does logical synthesis.
So those wire load models will not, because there you do not even know what the output capacitance is. But I'm talking of when you are analyzing a circuit. When you're analyzing a circuit, then the CI, or what you can do is you can put another C load ahead of it. I would rather not do that. I would say CI includes that. It makes it simpler because they are in parallel anyways, so they will be added.
Yes.
Okay, Deepank.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, actually, can I imagine each node to be a gate and drain junction?
No.
Okay.
No, these are wires. So as I just mentioned, each node, let us say this node 1 or node 3, they could be places where my wire bifurcated into 2 paths.
Okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, so I was basically thinking like, but okay, got.
No, this is only wire delays. This is only wire delays. Only at the terminal end, I'm saying you can add the load capacitance there. Otherwise, it is only wire delays.
Yeah, basically the junction represents a point and where the wire bifurcates, whether it might be for gate or might be for another place.
No, so Deepak, don't use the word junction, because junction, there is a junction capacitance that we know of. It will confuse people. So junction, I know you are talking about a train junction, for example. No, so don't use the word junction over here. You simply say the thing bifurcates.
So I was trying to imagine, like, if there are 2 inverters in series and wire leaves from the drain and goes to the gate of the another inverter. So yeah, there is a resistance to that wire, and then that wire also can that inverter can drive another circuit, another gate.
So Deepak, if it is something like this, then I would say we are only talking about this part. Okay.
Yeah.
There is nothing else there. Okay. Only when there is something like, okay, now this goes to a NAND gate, and from here it also goes to a NOR gate somewhere. Only when there is something like this that we're talking about remaining parts. Okay. Now, because then we are adding more paths onto the picture. That is when these paths start to figure in. Otherwise, no. Okay. We're talking only about the wire capacitance in this slide. But I would strongly recommend you to do some numericals. Numericals class. This is simple addition, multiplication. I don't think we need to do the numerical in the class, but I would recommend you to do it. It's important for you to estimate kya ho raha hai. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Madhur.
I did not understand the equation, this path S to I intersection path S to K. What is this S?
Okay, so all paths which are from source to output I and from source to output K. S stands for source.
Okay. sir.
Okay. So जो भी intersection के paths हैं, common paths हैं, that is the sum that you're talking about.
Okay. sir.
Okay. Faisal?
Sir, here we are talking about the capacitance and resistances of wires only, but at the point, the R point, the input point where you have given a pulse, there will be an output capacitance of a gate, and at the point 2 and point 4 there would be some like if this gate is driving some another gates, then this point 2 and 4 will have some input capacitance of those gates.
Yes, Faisal.
But
So we already
here
said
we
that
have-
C2 and C4 and Ci would include the load capacitance. That is what I just suggested.
Achha, okay.
Or you can
Okay,
put them in parallel. Okay,
Okay,
to Ci, to C2, C4 and Ci.
Yes, sir.
As far as the capacitance, the self-loading of the driver is concerned, you're right, it comes into picture. So we can put it there, but because you're also considering the driver as the source, it will not really make much of an impact in the overall delay calculation.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank
Okay.
Sir, what is this source we're talking about? Is it the voltage source we're providing in the circuit?
Yeah, we're just saying that, okay, there is a voltage source. Okay. So what are these RC models? You know, the step response, what is the difference between the step response of a lumped model and a distributed RC network? You know, for example, if you look at propagation delay from 0 to 50%, a lumped network would use a delay of 0.69 of RC, whereas in a real RC network, the delay would be only 0.38 RC. And the 10% to 90% delay would be much larger, much pessimistic for a lumped network than for a distributed network. So what does it mean? It means that lumped nahi use karna hai. Instead, we would want to use something like a pi model. So you see, this looks like a pi or like a T model. Okay. And what has been empirically observed is that a 3-stage pi model, a pi 3 model or a T3 model is a very accurate representation of most of the designs. Okay. Now, typically you will see that when you do not really want absolute picosecond level accuracy, you can as well go to a single pi model. But if you really want very high accuracy, a pi 3 model is still good enough and is much lesser simulation time than a real distributed RC network.
Sir,
Why
Yes.
it's lesser simulation time, sir? I'm like,
You tell me.
lesser.
How do simulators work?
Yeah, I'm not sure, sir.
So you studied matrices in your mathematics courses?
Yes, sir.
All of you have, even BTech students at IIIT and MTech students have studied matrices. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So you thought they were being taught for esoteric purpose? No, they were taught because those are actually used by simulators. So simulators make matrices, and for every device they have a row or a column associated with them, and that is how simulators do matrix transformations, do their calculations, and so on. Okay? Because there are multiple things which are working together. So all those parallel threads or all those parallel nodes are evaluated simultaneously. So if you have more number of elements, what happens? The matrix size increases.
Sir, actually matrix size depends on number of nodes, sir. So yeah, I think I could relate with that. Like there are number of nodes are increasing. So yes.
So as soon as we increase the total number of elements, things would increase. the simulation time increases. Okay.
Sir, actually, you said simulation time would decrease, sir. And like that. That's the reason why.
Simulation time would decrease with the pi model, and the pi 3 would. Oh, okay. It would decrease from a distributed RC network. A distributed RC network would have thousands of small resistances and capacitances that would have in it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We are lumping them into a pi model or a pi 3 model. So from
in
there, the simulation time would definitely reduce significantly.
Okay.
Okay.
So the simulation time is more in pi 3 model, right, sir?
Than pi model.
Yes, sir. Okay.
But it is still much lesser than a distributed network.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Meher?
Yeah, sir. I am not familiar with the term distributed RC network. So what's the difference?
So distributed RC network. We just showed that in the previous slide. Huh? This is the distributed. So over here, this is just distributed C, but there is a long wire, and we say that, okay, all these small resistances, I will actually show all the small resistances. I will not lump them.
Okay.
That is distributed RC. So what you say is that, okay, I had this wire going from here to the inverter, and then it took a turn, it went into a NOR gate or something, huh? So it would, a distributed RC network would say, okay, I would want to make a RC of this. I would want to make a RC of this. I would want to make a RC of this, a separate RC of this, RC of this, RC of this, and so on. ठीक है, और ये तो मैंने अभी schematic view दिखाया है. As soon as I make the layout view, you will see the metal would have moved from VR1 to VR2, from metal 1 to metal 2 through a VR1. So all those transitions, you will see, okay, so आप जब post out extraction करेंगे, so the first extracted file, you will see there are so many resistances and so many capacitances, because at every VI it is taking a break. Okay, every VI it says, no, now the new wire has started, so I will model it separately. So a new capacitance comes into picture, a new resistance comes into picture. Every turn something happens. Okay, so that is distributed RC. And you can imagine how many resistance. So आप एक simple inverter ही बना रहे होंगे, तो उसके अंदर कितने सारे RC आ जाएंगे just because of metal 1. You realize this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did we? So like I understand how for in a distributed RC network you will have that specific delay of 0.38. Right? Yeah. So but how did we arrive for this for lumped RC network 0.69 RC?
Yeah, we simply calculated, analyzed.
Okay, so it's a common characteristic for
RC,
all the
yeah, मतलब आप एक distributed RC network बनाओ और उसको analyze करो, you will see that 0 to 50% propagation delay would be something which will be 0.38 RC, and if you just make a lumped thing, and you will see that the delay would be different. That's it. We just did the analysis. जो circuit theory वाला course.
Okay. So
you must have done RC networks, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Same
so
thing.
Does lumped RC network modeling with lumped RC network offers a certain advantage? Because if distributed RC network has, if we are trying to convert it into a distributed RC network.
Yeah, यही तो भी बात कर रहे थे ना मेहर, that the simulation time would reduce if I have lesser components.
I understand.
That was what we were just talking about. That is why we're talking about these models. Otherwise, the distributed was good enough. It was very accurate.
Okay.
Raghav?
Yes, sir. So this pi model and distributed RC are different things, two different things.
Yeah. Distributed RC, जैसे मैंने अभी बताया, every turn, every via, it assumes it to be a separate wire, and it will make an RC for it.
So even for the via,
yeah, because via has a different resistance model for it. So if you will open the DRM of any technology, you will see that resistances and vias, capacitance, contacts and vias have a completely different resistance profile than wires.
So, but they are also copper, right? So why is different?
They are. समझते नहीं है लोग. So the thing is that see via के through जो current flow होना है, that length is not in your control, is it?
No, sir. Yeah.
See, when I make a wire, I can decide how long or short I have to make this wire. But for a via, you have no control over this depth. This is defined by the process.
Yes, sir.
So whenever we put a via, we say this via has a resistance of 10 ohms, let us say. Now, if I cannot afford 10 ohms, I will put 2 vias. What will be the effective resistance?
5.
5. I make 3 vias, 4 vias, and I can reduce the overall resistance.
Okay.
Okay. So see, in a wire, you can reduce the resistance by making wider wires.
Yes, sir.
But vias, you can't do that. Therefore, vias का resistance अलग से दिया जाता है. And therefore, because it is given separately, the tool understands it as a separate wire.
So, sir, in the Elmore delay slide, that was basically a distributed network you were showing.
That was,
This one.
yeah. So you can call it a distributed network. You may not, in the sense that because I have not really shown all the different, or I have not shown these 3 components separately to you, have I? I have lumped all
No,
of this
sir.
into one RC. है ना?
Yes, sir.
So this is not really a distributed, not purely distributed. But yeah, wherever there is a turn, even a pi model, you will have to model it like this then.
Okay. So, but like, what is the difference between the lumped and the distributed one? The lumped was actually, I'm not getting confused between that.
Oh, lumped. Lumped में तो कुछ भी नहीं था. Lumped. This is lumped.
Okay. In lumped, we have no resistance also model.
No resistance, and all the capacitance are simply added.
Okay. In distributed, we are considering all the resistance separately and all the capacitance separately.
In distributed, yes.
And
then we come to an intermediate pi or a T model.
so like pi is like an intermediate between the lumped and the distributed, you can say.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sir. Got it, sir. Thanks.
Because we do not pay that much simulation time, but we get almost similar accuracy.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Okay. So while 3-segment pi model, as I mentioned, is very accurate, but typically single segment pi model is used. Okay. So now we come to crosstalk. You understand what crosstalk is? You've heard about this term earlier?
Yes, sir.
Raghav?
Yes.
Yeah, Raghav, you have a question? I see your hand raised.
Yes, sir. Sorry to forget, sir.
Faisal?
So I have the question from the VIA part that you were saying, like if we want lesser resistance, we can add 2 or 3 VIAs. But I have read in the course like the cost of fabricating a VIA is much more than the metals. So is it feasible to have 2 or 3 VIAs in place of one to just reduce the resistance? Or is it a good thing like?
So if it is not leading to any increase in area,
Okay. Yes,
we would
sir.
usually want to have redundancy in vias and contacts.
Okay.
Okay. But if you do not want to go for an overkill either, for example, if you make a P cell of a device which is, let us say, 10 micron wide, you will see there are hundreds of contacts it will put automatically. देखा है आपने?
नहीं sir.
You need not use a P cell at all for making your inverter layout.
नहीं, I've used, yeah.
So when you made the P cell and you made a device of, let us say, 4 micron width, how many contacts did it put on the source and drain?
That you have told in the
Tens
class.
of them.
Yeah.
No,
it will
as
put
many
more
as
than-
it could put.
Yes, sir.
So that is an overkill. So that leads to increase in gate capacitance, gate to source and gate to drain capacitance.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
we don't want to do.
Huh.
But we definitely would want to say that, okay, every third contact I would want to keep, or every second contact I would want to keep,
Yes, sir.
so that I reduce the total capacitance between gate and these contacts, poly and contacts, but I am able to reduce the resistance also.
Okay. Okay. Sir.
So multiple or this redundancy of resistances and vias is preferred. This is in fact called as design for manufacturability, DFM.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there are checks. There are checks which say that you could have put 2 contacts over here. Why did you put only 1?
Okay.
So there are such checks also, but we have to be very judicious. We have to be very careful कि हम overdo ना कर दें.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Madhur?
Yeah, so in this pi or T model, when we have very long wires, then this may be true. But when we have wires which branch too much, then maybe this model will fail because there are parallel.
So actually, it is for global signals that we use these pi and T models. Small interconnects, the resistances and capacitances are small enough. So उधर कुछ भी हो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. See, if the overall value of the delay is 10 picoseconds, whether you're measuring it accurately at 9.7 picoseconds or whether you're measuring it at 8 picoseconds, 2 picoseconds तो आपके simulator की inaccuracy है. Doesn't matter. So if the delays that could be impacted are within the accuracy of your simulator or your simulation setup, you don't bother about making pi and T models. Only when you have global signals where the interconnect delay, जैसे हमने पहले बात करी, that interconnect delay could be 30% to 70% of your critical path delay. So for the big delays, you want to model them as pi or T.
Okay, sir. So we need accuracy when we are dealing with such long interconnects.
Yes, when we're dealing with long interconnects, we definitely need accuracy, some accuracy.
Okay, sir.
Lump से देखो ना, lumped versus distributed में कितना बड़ा फर्क था otherwise.
Yes, sir.
We can't afford that. Gagandeep?
Yes, sir. Sir, I was asking that if you give me a circuit and say that, okay, this much amount of delay I have to meet. So as a designer, when I'm starting to look at all the topologies that I can use, so how can I really use this kind of model, because I do not know the length or
Wires के लिए आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते Gagandeep at the time of schematic design. So what you can do is, okay, this capacitance is of very high importance to me. This delay is the longest delay, so I would not want to add any wire delay into it. So you say you can put comments in your schematic that make the layout of these devices as close to each other as possible, so that when you start to lay them out, you remember, okay, this was an important consideration. So that you can do when making the layout. But otherwise, you cannot really do much. So what we usually do is we simply add some parasitic capacitance on every intermediate node. We say, okay, this node is going from one inverter to another, at least 2 femtofarad capacitance to aa jayega. So we just put some value there, so that our final delays are not far away from our initial targets.
based upon experience?
Yeah, based on experience and technology characterization and stuff like that. Yes. Meher?
Yeah, so just to clarify, the difference between lumped and distributed is for every turn of the wire, we will associate it with a resistance and capacitance. But what lumped does is it models the same between two nodes. So that diagram we were showing, it was taking all those turns and curves and modeling it as one resistance and one capacitance.
Yes,
That's lumped.
that's lumped.
Okay. And sir, another thing you mentioned a point about the number of contacts we had when we were modeling for a certain width of PMOS or NMOS, and how we should be careful not to do an overkill, right? So when we reduce the number of contacts, I understand how that would reduce the capacitance between the poly and the contact, but how will that affect the resistance exactly? I didn't get it.
So see, contact resistance, let us say, is 10 ohms, let us say.
Okay.
And you made 10 contacts.
Yeah.
So resistance became 1 ohm. Now you reduce 5 of them. 1 की जगह 2 हो गया.
Okay.
But 1 is like 2 is as low as 1. उससे ज़्यादा आपका driver का resistance है ना?
Yes, sir.
So you say, okay, let me have 2. or let me have lesser contacts than all 10 of them.
That's not really a trade-off in the sense that the resistance doesn't have that much impact in terms of magnitude.
Yeah, because finally, if it is a very big driver, then the resistance of the global RC network is more important.
Okay.
Then there would be other constraints which could come because of the total current that this RC network has to drive. For example, if it's a very huge capacitance and you're talking of driving it every clock cycle, then you understand that, okay,
Yeah,
if a current has to flow in every cycle, then I have to be careful that even after some aging and some degradation in resistances, even after that, my system will work fine. So then you may want to put 7 contacts instead of 5. So there are rules for that also. There are rules linked to electromigration also. So don't worry. These are slightly advanced topics. We will possibly talk about these failure modes in the last lecture of this course.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
But in the last point you mentioned that in that case, if we are talking about huge driver of current, then we will increase number of contacts and not.
So 10. So let us assume that 10 were the by default you got from P cell. That is the maximum contacts you can put.
Yeah.
We said we will, in a typical case, when it is not a very big driver, we will reduce from 10 to 5 or 10 to 4.
Okay.
But if this driver is operating every cycle, if the activity rate of this driver is very high, then electromigration rules may require me to put 7 contacts instead of 4 or 5.
Okay.
So that even after aging, things are fine.
Right.
Okay. So crosstalk. So you're talking about different types of capacitances, capacitance between 2 adjacent wires, capacitance between intermetal, one wire above, one wire below, and so on. So the capacitance that we were talking about or characterizing till now was static capacitance, where we said that this is the total capacitance where lines of fields are there and there is no transition specifically happening in either A or B. There is a constant flow of current through A, through B. This is the steady state value. But in reality, we will have our signals toggle. That is where we will be able to give stimuli or, test our circuits. So let us say there's this wire A and there's this wire B, and wire A grows from 0 to 1. Wire B at the same time wants to go from 1 to 0. What would happen?
Sir, because of capacitive coupling, the other wire and the wire that is going upward would also want the other wire to go upward, and it would become vice versa in the case of B wire. So basically, the effective capacitance that it will see between each other, so it will kind of double.
Yes. So what happens is that when the transitions on the 2 wires are opposite in direction, we understand that the effective capacitance that we will see is slightly higher than regular. If everything was quiet, it could have simply gone up at a particular pace. But now, since the other wire is going down, it would slow it down, as if the capacitance is higher.
So I'm not able to get this point.
So due to coupling, itna samajh mein aaya ki because of coupling, the 2 wires will start to influence each other. A is trying to go up, B is trying to go down. So because B is trying to go down, due to this coupling capacitance, this A will now also try to go down a bit. So whatever rate at which it was going up, it will no longer be able to go up at the same rate. It will go at a slower rate. Similarly, it was trying to go down, but A was going up. So it would try to pull B also up. And B will actually fall at a slower rate than what it was targeted to be. Are you able to see this?
So, sir, it is basically both the transition times of both the signals are getting impacted in this way.
Yes.
Okay.
But transition time getting impacted essentially means for a circuit designer that RC is increasing. है ना? So R is not changing. So what do we say? That we say that due to Miller effect, capacitance is changing.
So when I say that transition time, when I say the capacitance is decreasing, so that will lead to propagation, right? Not the transition. I'm not able to understand. You said that. What you said just.
No, अभी जो हमने पिछली स्लाइड में देखा, what were we talking about? 0 to 50% delay. So what is that? Transition delay तो है.
Okay. Okay.
है ना? So what we are essentially saying is that let us say B is constant and on A you are bringing about a transition. Okay? The C effective is C ground plus C adjacent. Now if B is switching alongside A, then what happens? Because A and B are both switching together, they appear to be same wires. So this C adjacent kind of vanishes from the picture. Okay, but when they are going in opposite directions, then just as we saw, this C adjacent kind of doubles up. Both try to slow each other down. So what we are saying is that there is this Miller capacitance factor which gets multiplied with C adjacent, depending on how my other signals are behaving.
So sir, when they are toggling in opposite directions, so first I take the effect of A and keep B constant. So I take it as one effect and then vice versa. That's why I'm saying twice, basically. I'm taking the effect of both A and B separately and then adding them together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this Miller capacitance factor is something that you should be aware of when you route wires, when you lay wires next to each other. So if you know that there are two signals which are bound to go in opposite directions, you better space them apart so that C adjacent reduces. But if there are wires which will typically run together in parallel, you can keep them close also.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Madhur.
So this constant VDD means that A and B are running different currents, running different voltages, but they are running same constant voltages.
No. So A is toggling, or let us say B is toggling and A is constant. The other one signal is toggling, the other is constant.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Sir?
Yes, Deepang.
Yes, sir. Suppose it's a very big circuit and someone is making layout and they don't know do we need to my doubt is like that they don't know that they will be talking opposite only, then basically do we every time have to know each and every minute detail of the very big circuit so that the other person
Probably
knows?
you will never be able to make out, Deepang. Sometimes, for example, if you were designing a memory, then you know that at any given point of time, only one word line will go up.
Okay.
Or at the output of the decoder, only one of the signals will go to 1, the others will remain 0. So some circuits you can predict. At other places, you may not be able to predict.
Okay.
So when you are able to predict, you do something. When you're not able to predict, you do something else. For example, if some signal's capacitance you just want to be constant, you will then shield it. You will shield it from other wires. So typically memory can, for example, there are 2 or 3 decoders that run parallel to each other. So in between those decoding lines, one set of decoding lines and the other set of decoding lines, there is a shielding.
Okay.
So that's all that we can do.
Okay.
What is important is to realize that the static capacitance that you typically see is not really the only capacitance. So
It's
this
based on
becomes
the
this becomes very important when you're making layouts for analog circuits. For example, you're making circuits for layouts for PLLs or even sense amplifiers for that matter in a memory. Because there you want capacitance to be predictable. But then if it can change simply because of its environment, you could be at risk. Okay.
Sir, okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, can we say that breaking a large device into too many fingers can increase the crosstalk
No,
at the gate and source?
no, because for a large device, breaking it into fingers, then both A and B will always switch in parallel with each other, right?
Okay.
Because they're in parallel. Na? All these transistors that you've now made, they are parallel with each other. The gates are shorted, sources are shorted, drains are also shorted. So
yes.
this Miller capacitance will not bother you at that time.
Okay. Yes, I understood.
Yeah. Priyanka?
Sir, I want to know, like, if one wire is affecting another wire, so like, what is the use of minimum DRC then? Like, if the wires are affecting each other, so DRC का क्या use होगा इसमें?
Okay, I ask you to draw two lines. Just आप अपनी pencil में draw करो 1 micron away from each other.
I can't.
Can you make them?
No.
नहीं ना?
So the point is like simulator does it sets a minimum DRC like कितना DRC होना चाहिए between two wires. So like
No, simulator doesn't check that. No. Simulator doesn't check that. Simulator को तो आप layout देते ही नहीं हो. Simulator को तो आप netlist देते हो.
Like when we make the layout, like we said ना कि like minimum DRC होना चाहिए, then if minimum DRC is not set, we get the error. So
Yes.
like, on which basis that DRC is?
That is the experiment I'm asking you to do. Na? You have a pen and a paper with you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So just draw two lines parallel to each other at a spacing of 1 micron. 1 micron is the thickness of your hair. Can you make them?
No.
Or do you think they will start to touch each other?
I can't make it. It's like
They will start to touch each other, huh?
yeah.
So how closest can you make them without touching each other?
So that is DRC.
That is DRC. It is DRC is about manufacturability. It is not about electrical behavior. What we are talking about now is electrical behavior.
Okay.
Are you able to see this?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sir,
Gagandeep?
sir, breaking it into finger like Devjit asked, then in that case, it is a kind of smart thing to do since both the signals would go in same direction and the capacitance would eventually decrease.
Yeah, that is why we discussed breaking devices into fingers because it can help many times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so you will see there is a sweet spot there. You break it into too many fingers, that also doesn't help because then the overall parasitics because of sidewall capacitance start to increase. Just do an experiment, you will see. Okay, paper पे ही करके देख सकते हो. Meher, you had a question?
Yeah. Sir, what are the implications of this crosstalk effect that we may face during layout?
I'm sorry, दोबारा से पूछो. What are the implications of?
What are the implications of crosstalk?
Implications of crosstalk. Let us say you are running an analog signal, which is small signal in nature. Just toggling by 4-5 millivolts, 10 millivolts. And over there you have this Miller capacitance crosstalk coming into picture. And the adjacent signal is a digital signal going from 0 to VDD. What would happen?
The small
that 4-5 millivolts, the real signal that you had will simply vanish. You will only have the crosstalk related disturbance there, noise there. Huh? So one has to be very, so we are digital course, but even in digital course, we have implication on delays. In an analog course, you will see crosstalk can kill your circuit completely. Raghav?
So basically this Miller capacitance factor is saying that the greater it will be, the greater the crosstalk will be, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a measure of crosstalk effect, you can say that.
So this Miller capacitance, is this being calculated through Miller's theorem by breaking the stop capacitance into two capacitances between ground?
Estimated like that, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that kind of brings us to a closure of devices. Now, this was a very important section of the course where we talked about MOS capacitors, MOS transistors, and also interconnects. So unless we know the bricks and the bricks and mortar that we have to use, we will not be able to make houses, hai na? So we have just understood the strength of different kinds of components, the weaknesses of different components, and now we will start to use them in our designs. The first and the simplest design that we know of is an inverter. All of you know what an inverter is? What is an inverter?
So it inverts the logic. I mean, 1 to 0, 0.
So you give an input 1, it gives an output 0. You give an input 0, it gives an output 1. Something like this. Huh? So this is the BJT inverter. This many people would have studied in their earliest electronics course, because BJTs are the bread and butter of first year courses. Few places BJTs are not even talked about. People only talk about CMOS only. But yeah, this is one of the oldest implementation of an inverter when CMOS did not exist. Only BJTs existed. So what we said was that if you increase VI, what happens? The current that can flow through this BJT increases, and therefore V out goes to 0. And this is the transfer characteristic. What does it mean? How will a VI, a change in VI, transfer to a change in V out? That's why it's called transfer characteristic. Clearly, you cannot get a very clean 0 over here, because there is some resistance of this BJT that will come into picture. And also there is a continuous flow of current. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
So not really the best way to design an inverter, especially in today's technologies. So we come to MOS inverters. Let us say this is something we do. So over here again, you will notice that there is a continuous flow of current that will happen when the output is intended to be kept at 0. When V out is expected to be 0, then there is a continuous flow of current that will happen from Vs. So we move to what is called as CMOS. What is the beauty of CMOS? That when the input is 0, the PMOS is on and the NMOS is off. So what happens? Once you charge the output capacitance, no further current would flow. You know this, all of you? Meher, you have a question?
Yeah, sir, about BJT inverter. So from our previous courses, what we read was that we used to bias our BJT to a particular voltage, and then at a particular bias point, and then we used to give it small signal voltage as an input.
That's
So
a small
can-
signal analysis. That's a
Small
small
signal.
signal analysis, Meher. अभी
sir-
हम उसको inverter logic ही change करने की बात कर रहे हैं.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
exactly. So that was
Yeah.
my question. Can we apply digital logic into such a
Yeah, so जब तक MOSFETs और CMOS नहीं था in 70s, BJTs were the only devices, so they were used to make inverters.
Okay, but we cannot do that through small signal analysis.
Yeah, you have to go to large signal analysis then. However, today we largely talk about small signal analysis in BJTs because we know that full swing करना है तो CMOS है ही.
Okay.
In fact, today we talk of even small signal on CMOS only. BJTs are avoided because they simply have a lot of gate current and other inefficiencies in there. But yeah, that is probably the only place that BJTs are used for analog circuits, where small signals have to be handled very carefully. You need lots of gain and everything. Can't do without a BJT then.
And sir, what were the disadvantages we were facing? Like in the previous slide, when we use MOSFET technology, for example, NMOS. So yeah, what were the problems you were facing in this one?
So tell me, I've put a 1 over here. So what happens? This device is fully on, it will sink current, and this will continue to provide current. So there's a short circuit path.
Oh,
So when my output is intended to be 0, there's a short circuit path.
right.
So again, when the PMOS was not being able to be manufactured, this was still better than BJT. But now that we also have PMOSs, we only use CMOS.
Okay.
And this part, one on the right, you already know very well, isn't it? We've discussed this in detail. What is this?
The layout of inverter.
Layout of an inverter. And there could be another layout of the inverter where, so if you want to connect two layouts, two inverters, you simply abut them, So we discussed abutment. You simply abut them, and the output of one you short to the input of the other. And bingo, you have the output there. In fact, ये वाला wire भी already exists करता है. You only need to make this connection. And your two inverters are connected into a buffer. VDD and ground already shared because they get connected like this. You're able to relate this? We already discussed this in the class. In the class also, office has also multiple times. And this is the inverter with a strap, where we say that, okay, I will also have a strap within the standard cell. And we already agreed that this is no longer a good idea because you see this kind of height is wasted. So we said that, no, we will not do that. We will, in fact, have it like this only, where the straps will be added later. You remember this?
Sir, in this only, sir, how is this? What is the strap part here in this?
This part.
Yeah, okay.
So this is the NMOS, but you notice they have a N plus over here instead of P plus.
Yeah, yes. Sir.
So this becomes the strap connection. Yes.
So what would happen in normal standard cell would be that metal would be running over the ground, and at some place along the line, the strap would be placed, and it would not occupy a specific area like it is occupying here. Is that my correct?
So for example, if I have to put a strap, I will simply add a strap cell here. And over here, there will be, what do you say? The substrate connection for the PMOS, N-well, substrate connection for the P-well, and the VDD and ground will go ahead like this, and then you will have another cell that you could put over here, and so on. So, आपका सवाल, did I answer you, or did I answer something else completely?
Sir, okay, I got my point here.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question on same slide.
Yes.
Sir, here you have drawn OD, the yellow one and green one. So in that OD, you have made a L type of cut. So, sir, this L type of cut, sir, would this be feasible in that technology? I mean, that this.
Yeah. You can do that. We would want you to avoid it. In advanced technologies, we would want you to avoid it. But in earlier technologies, just to reduce the source and drain capacitance, source and drain leakage, basically reducing the source drain area, we would do that. No challenges. We can do that. In 65, you can do that.
Okay, sir. And sir, in
18, you will not be allowed to do this.
Okay. Sir, in the next slide that you showed, the strap one. Sir, there you have drawn a NP layer and PP layer, very small layers, but sir, it has a minimum DRC of minimum area. So can we draw it inside like that, very small?
No. So this is for a still older technology. You may say this is a 1 micron technology. You see, or this is 0.6 micron technology. This is very old technology. In those technologies, it was possible. That was the way it was designed. Okay.
One more question. Like we use these two inverter layouts for buffering. That's primary purpose. Because
I'm sorry, दोबारा से बोलो. When do we use those two inverters?
two inverters, yeah.
Buffer, to make a buffer.
Yeah, that is.
है ना? Back the two inverters right one after the other so that we have a buffer.
सर
Yes, Divya.
सर ये बेसिकली स्ट्रैप है क्या, लाइक इसका यूज क्या हो रहा है इसमें?
तुमने तीन बार डिस्कस करा है दिव्या. So you remember we talked about latch up and reducing the substrate resistance.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
the straps are providing the VDD and ground connections to the substrates, na?
Okay.
याद आया?
Yeah. हाँ.
Yeah. So this is for
Okay.
substrate connections. Straps are substrate connections.
Why do we have moved poly to left side? It was in middle previously.
I'm sorry?
That polysilicon was in middle, the red color in the previous slide. Now it moves to left side. Is there any specific reason?
No specific reason. This is the kind of layout you will use today. This is just how it was used to. It could have been done and was probably done earlier. Today you will see that poly will only be vertical. You will not be even allowed to route poly in two directions. So that this is the layout you will end up using anyways. Earlier, okay, people thought that, okay, I will simply make, I don't even need to make an extra wires. You see, the out is going out till here and the in is also connected by metal to here. You just abut them and they get connected. So that was the intent at some point of time, but not really needed. Moreover, they wanted to make butted straps. So source ke saath hi they just butted the strap region. Today straps are not handled like this at all. So it's really not a challenge. Okay. Faisal?
Sir, on the inverter, when we were drawing a single inverter, I think you were explaining the circuit of the inverter with PMOS and MOS. So can you please explain the circuit?
Circuit of PMOS and NMOS?
Yes, sir.
Just come to you're talking about response time or something like that?
Yes, sir. So you were explaining the capacitor will charge and then someone asks doubt.
Don't worry, you will not miss anything.
Yeah, this circuit.
हाँ, तो इसमें क्या?
I think you were explaining.
You're
That's
saying
fine.
that when the input is 0, the PMOS is on, NMOS is off.
Yes, sir.
The capacitor will charge and that's it. No further current.
हाँ.
है ना?
Okay.
Whereas in BJT and MOSFET, MOS inverters, there was a continuous flow of current.
Yes, sir.
है ना? So that is the beauty of CMOS.
Okay, so that's
that
it.
Current goes only during the transient period. After that and before that, current is 0. Whereas in BJTs and other places, the current will flow for continuously when your input is, let us say, 1 or 0, whatever.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Rajneesh, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, in the previous slide, sir. Sir, when I was doing some the custom layout, sir, in that when over the OD, when I was doing this, making the source and the drain, then sir, this non-butted error was coming, DRC. So sir, I was not able to figure out that what was the mistake in that.
दोबारा से बोलो.
Sir, when over the OD I was making the source and the drain, sir, then this non-butted DRC was coming. That it is non-butted. So I was not able to clear it, sir.
Non-butted DRC was coming.
Yes, sir. It was written non-butted, sir.
So did you put the proper straps in your circuit and everything?
Yes, sir. But the yes, sir. Straps are put in. Yes.
So I don't know what exactly this would mean. So just check the language and check with
Okay,
others
sir.
also. how
Okay,
to
sir.
connect
Okay,
it.
sir. I will figure it out, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So now we come to the DC response. What do you mean by DC response?
So I mean, we give input as a DC signal and we see its response by the circuit.
Yeah.
In the DC
So
domain itself.
if my input is held constant at a particular voltage level, at what voltage my output would be held at? That is my DC response. I'm not talking about transitioning from 0 to 1. I'm talking about if my input is at, say, 200 millivolts, where will my output be? For example, we are saying when Vin is equal to 0, the output, when Vin is equal to 0 or Vin equal to VDD, the output will be VDD or output will be 0. That is DC. And in between these, it depends on the transistor size and current, such that the current from the NMOS and PMOS is balanced. Are you with me? Over here in DC current, any capacitance or anything else doesn't even come into picture, because talking about all transient being taken care of, and now where does the value stabilize?
So what do you mean by the balancing of this IDS, PMOS current and MOS current?
You tell me. There is this node. What is the Kirchhoff's current law according to this node?
Incoming
What does
current
Kirchhoff's current law say?
Some incoming is equals to outgoing.
Yeah. So where all the current could be coming in here and going up from here? Only these two NMOS and PMOS, na?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So we are saying that Kirchhoff's current law cannot be violated.
Okay, okay.
That is all, nothing else. Okay. So let us look at this much, you know, what is the cutoff region, what is the linear region for the NMOS, what is the saturated region for the NMOS and the PMOS also. So PMOS is simply the dual of this. You remember this much?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, the PMOS is simply the dual of that NMOS wala cheez. If we try to make the current curves, IDS curves, IDS, VDS curves for different VGS values, this is something what you would get. Provided that you are saying that beta n is equal to beta p. So VGS P5 will be equal to, or the current at VGS P5 in magnitude will be equal to current at VGS N5. Is this okay?
So beta factor is
beta factor is that over here we are saying that current at a particular VDS has been equalized by changing the width, by making the PMOS wider. There is a ratio of mobility. The PMOS has lower mobility. The holes in the PMOS, the carriers in the PMOS have lower mobility than the carriers in the NMOS. So that you compensate by making the PMOS wider. So that overall beta that comes in the current equation is equal.
This beta is K and C of omega by L.
Yeah, and also includes W and L into it.
Okay.
Sir, actually, I'm not able to get what exactly we know beta here. Like you.
Arey bhai, so this current, what is the current equation?
Yeah, W, K and W by L.
And then VGS minus VT, the whole square something. All this is being put as beta.
Okay, okay, fine, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're simply saying that you size the PMOS up in such a way that K1, K2 या mobility का जो भी difference है, that is compensated for.
Okay, okay, sir, got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
So this is how your IDS, VDS curves would look like.
Yes, sir.
So if we now plot them for a circuit per se, what would happen? We said IDS and IDSN and IDSP should be equal. That is where I will get to know where my device is in different positions. Am I right? That was what we said. So I would essentially need to plot IDSN and absolute value of IDSP one over the other to get something like this. Are you with me? Huh?
Y-axis is it's a ratio, or like they're two different values, like comma. It's a comma.
Comma.
Okay. Okay.
We already said that beta n is equal to beta p. We're just
Yeah.
going forward from there.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens now? We start to say that for a given IDS n and IDS p, what will be the value of V out? Can we make that thing out? So V out is all those points where the current values are equal. Can we say this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So how does it this appear then? So the first point is, let us say, as we इसी में जाते हैं पहले. So where are the values equal? See, there is one intersection happening here. Are you able to see that? Then there is another intersection happening here, another happening here, and so on. So if we start to plot it like this, then this is the way our intersections would play out at different values of Vn. See, what am I doing? I'm changing the value of Vn. At different values of Vn, different curves would come into picture. There is this curve for the NMOS and this curve for the PMOS. So where do they intersect? At a value of Vn, they intersect at almost VDD. So V out will be almost VDD when Vn is equal to 0.2. When Vn goes to 0.4, these are the two curves that come into picture, and my V out will be almost equal to VDD, though not equal to VDD, slightly lesser than VDD there. You go to Vn equal to 0.6, and you see, array, the intersection point now has come to almost 0. You go to 0.8, it is at 0. So now when you plot, it, you see that, okay, V in 0, V in 1, V in 2, V in 3, V in 4, V in 5. And you get what you call as the transfer characteristic of your inverter. Are you able to see this? Any questions?
So what will happen at VDD by 2, like when we have, if it is not 0 or VDD?
Yeah, so at VDD by 2, we would probably have had this point.
Yes, sir. So what will be the output when Vn is
Output
VDD?
is, अगर इधर intersection हो रहा है तो यहाँ होगा output. तो इस रेंज में हो रहा है तो यहाँ पे कहीं भी आगे पीछे देखो इतना सारा रेंज है आउटपुट का, कहीं भी होगा.
अच्छा, यहाँ फिर कहीं भी हो सकता है.
क्या मतलब वो मूव कर रहा है. हाँ, मतलब वो आपके डिवाइसेस के ऊपर आपने एग्जैक्टली कितना मिलीवोल्ट ऊंचा नीचा के बेसिस पे वो आगे पीछे हो जाएगा थोड़ा सा.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So, sir, what we were doing is that for different bean values, we plotted the IDS curve for the PMOS and NMOS, and then the intersection points is the second graph, right? The red one.
Yes.
Okay.
So we plotted the intersection points over here, and then we say, ये अलग-अलग Vn की values के साथ ही intersection points आए हैं, I can simply plot them over here. That is my V out.
Yeah, got it, sir.
That is how you make the transfer characteristics.
Yeah, and the intersection point was coming because of the Kirchhoff law needs to be.
Because of intersection of V in 1 for PMOS and V in 1 for the NMOS.
Yeah, the currents have to be equal, right?
Yes, currents have to be KCL.
Yeah, yes, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So,
sir?
Yes.
So in the left graph, what were we plotting on x-axis and y-axis? No, on y-axis particularly, on the left side graph.
This is current, ना? IDS. हमने बताया था ना IDSN and IDSP. ये.
Yes, sir. So why are we writing Vn2, Vn1 and all those Vs?
You tell me. Vn is equal to VGS value, ना?
Yes, sir.
तो अलग-अलग VGS value पे हम IDS वाले curves plot कर रहे हैं बस. What else?
Okay.
See, this characteristic that you see is for different values of VGS, is it not?
Yes, sir.
But for any Vn value, there will only be one of these lines valid.
Yes, sir.
So for any Vn value, there is just one of these lines which is valid. That is what we are showing.
Okay, sir.
Huh? So now at different points, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, where are my different transistors? So at A, my NMOS is in cutoff, PMOS is in linear. And you can actually fill this entire table like this. Can you verify if this table is filled correctly? Any questions, any confusion around it?
Sure.
Yes, Debajit.
Sir, can you explain? I have a confusion in region B and D.
In
The region B and D, where we are saying that
region B and D.
Yes, sir.
So, do we want to go back to the curves once again and see?
Yes, sir.
So region B is when your Vin is between VDD by 2 and VTN. So let us say it is 0.4 of VDD. Is it okay? 0.4 वाला curve देखें. So you see what is happening? My NMOS is clearly in saturation. What about my PMOS? It is in linear.
Okay.
Anna?
Sir, one more. Okay, understood, sir. Sir, I had one more question also, that looking at the point in the graph, we can also predict the amount of current that would be flowing, right?
Yes,
or the
that is
discharge.
what IDS was, na? The IDS की value जो है, vertical axis की जो value है, that is the amount of current that is flowing.
Okay. Yes.
So what is the amount of current that is flowing? Now tell me.
Sir, in B and D, the current through the NMOS would be very low.
So current A के दौरान भी बहुत कम होगा, E के दौरान भी almost zero होगा, है ना?
Yes, sir.
And B and D के दौरान थोड़ा सा
A little
होगा.
bit higher. Yes, sir.
थोड़ा सा होगा. And सबसे ज्यादा कब होगा? C के दौरान.
And okay, when the input is at VDD by 2.
When the input is at VDD by 2.
Okay.
So this is your current come. So there is no current when the input was 0 or when the input was 1. Only when the transition was happening, there was some current.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, in this current one, sir, when we had in the points B and D, then basically the PMOS and or either of the PMOS and was in linear, right?
Yeah.
So the current, so I mean, if except for when both are in cutoff, then some current will be flowing. So I'm not able to understand this curve actually that
Which
you just
curve?
draw. The so जब
ये
नीचे
वाला?
वाला बना, yeah.
हाँ, क्यों? क्या नहीं? देखो इसको वापस उसी कर्व से जाके देख लेते हैं पहले वाले से. So let us look at it over here, पुराने वाले में. So at this value, then let us say this is point A, Vn is equal to 0.2 is point A. What is
Yes,
the value
sir.
of current? It's almost 0.
Yeah.
I go to point B. What is the value of current now?
Okay. Right. Okay.
This is the value, na? It is not 0, it is more than 0. Now, if I had a Vn is equal to 0.5, you will see that it would be somewhere here. The point of intersection would have been somewhere here. जो हमने
Both-
यहाँ पे देखा था.
When both are in
इस
saturation.
range में है ना? The value of current is still higher.
When both are in saturation.
Yes. यही मैंने वहाँ plot करा था ये.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
है ना? Clear? See, this is very important. देखो आपको ना those of you who are MTech students, you probably already realize that you never got to see an inverter like this ever earlier. Did you?
Yes, sir.
So almost nowhere you will see inverter being taught in such detail and with such you know कि कौन सा cutoff में है, कौन सा saturation में. But this is very important for you to understand. Even though we are talking about digital circuits, if you do not understand where your device is operating in, for example, you will not know how to make a capacitance, MOS capacitance. आपको यही नहीं पता लगेगा कि वो accumulation में कब गया और वो inversion में कब चला गया और where you should design your capacitance. So these concepts are really important. They will really help you become good circuit designers. So इस चीज के बारे में please be very comfortable with it. I can give you another circuit and ask you कि कौन सा device saturation में है and stuff like that. Okay. Typically interviews में inverter तो पूछ ही लेते हैं लोग. So good designers, when they interview you, they will typically end up asking you the transfer characteristics of an inverter somewhere in one question or another. Okay. So please be very well versed with this idea. So we have covered two critical concepts today. Elmore delay के लिए मैंने आपको कहा है कि आप please घर जाके numericals please practice करें. And this concept also, I am saying that we have covered it in class. We are covering it. I am trying to resolve all your queries. But even if you get queries again at home, you can read the book, you can review the lecture again. But please be very clear about this concept. Yes, there was a question.
Yes, sir. So when both the devices like NMOS and PMOS are in saturation, I am seeing that I have the max amount of current. So that means that this will be the point that will be associated with the maximum power dissipation, kind of the most power will be right. So like, but what exactly is the utility of this region? I mean getting it, but is it like, because so this power is static power or the dynamic power? For example, this power, how will I say?
We're talking about DC analysis, so there is nothing dynamic in it yet.
Okay, so it's static power only.
If you will bias your inverter at this point, it will consume the maximum current. But do you realize it is also the most sensitive? A small change in input, 1 millivolt here or 1 millivolt there, the output will change, swing by 100 millivolts.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's the importance of this point.
Okay. So, sir, like, for example, like generally we say na ki the CMOS inverter has zero static power dissipation, it has only dynamic thing, but from here I can see that no, there is some dissipation.
Yes, because we are over here talking about using an inverter as an amplifier. You see, that is where I'm saying if you put a small signal at C, what happens? Output would toggle from you just toggle the input from plus minus 3 millivolts, output would toggle by plus minus 300 millivolts. Nahin?
Yeah.
It's amplifying 100 times. So when you want to use the inverter as an amplifier, then amplifier will consume current. But otherwise, if you want to use it as a digital logic, then you don't need to worry about the C point. C point will just come and go like this. It's so fast.
Okay, so like for me, the V in, for example, if I have to do for the digital circuit, so the V in will be basically the biasing voltage should be such that
no. In a digital circuit, V in will simply come from 0 and go to VDD. And let us say 100 picoseconds. So within 100 picoseconds, this A, B, C, D, E would have already moved.
Okay. So, but still this curve will get na, right? So the area
this
between
curve will
this...
come and go. अब इसको ये तो देखो हमने अभी VDD के साथ plot करा ना. So you can possibly plot it with time. You can do it like this. So I say that ऐसा नहीं. So a typical question that I ask in interviews, I would ask in interviews would be that these are A, B, C, D, E. This is my input and this is time axis. Okay. I would ask people to plot the current waveform with respect to time. What would you do? The plot would actually come like this only.
Yeah.
This is just a different way of putting the question. Now you notice that if I improve the input slope, what happens?
Then this area would be much lesser.
Yes.
Okay, right.
This value remains same. but the charge that I consume, that I waste, reduces significantly. That is where, when we will talk about power later in this course, we will talk about using good rise time and fall time.
Yeah, so the y-axis basically would be remain the same, but the x-axis, the time bit would decrease. Yeah.
Yes,
right.
if you have good rise time and fall time, you can reduce overall charge consumed in this transition because you have reduced the pulse width for this current curve.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
So this is something we will anyways cover later, but concept should, अब मैं clarify कर रहा, the concept should be clear for everyone now. Madhur, you have a question?
Yes, sir. So why were we talking about biasing in this circuit when we are making a digital inverter?
No, because if we want to make an amplifier out of an inverter, then we would want to talk about biasing also.
Yes.
An inverter is an inverter. It can operate like anything.
Okay, sir. So when we are making use of this inverter as a common source amplifier, then we are talking about biasing.
Not just a common source. We're simply saying, an amplifier.
Okay, sir. And in digital, we won't pay much attention to this C region. We will just go from A to E directly.
So if your input slope is bad, as in the top timing curve,
yes, sir,
then the C region also becomes very important, because that C region would also exist for a long time. It will define the total current consumption, na?
Yes, sir.
So if your input is rising very, very slowly or falling very, very slowly, then the C region also is there for a long time. Then this kind of becomes time axis. So the charge that you consume, that is transferred from VDD to ground, that is wasted, increases. है ना? Power increases.
So C region doesn't seem to be appearing for a very long time. It is just a vertical, almost a vertical line.
अरे भाई, ये तो VDD और VN का एक्सेस है ना?
Yes, sir.
मैं अब टाइम के साथ बता रहा हूँ. ऊपर देखो. If this is my curve, if this is my input waveform with respect to time, then the C region is going to be there for a longer time, na? In comparison to here.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Gagandeep?
Yes, sir. Can we also change this width of this current lobe by changing the width of the MOSFETs?
Yes, obviously, because as soon as you change the width of the MOSFETs, IDS and VDS would change. The होगा ही ना? IDS and VDS are dependent on width. IDS is dependent on width of the device.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I have confusion in this thing only, that let's say that I want this to be a very, very fast transition inverter. So I say, okay, I'll increase PMOS by some amount and I increase the NMOS width by some amount. So basically, after increasing the width of the PMOS and NMOS, although this transition is very, very fast, but the current has also increased. So basically, I will now have more current through my MOSFETs.
So तुम्हारा confusion इसलिए है because तुम्हें driver का width और length width change करना था, तुम इस device का width change करना शुरू हो गए हो. This is the input transition, not the output transition. There is some other inverter driving Vin, na? To get a good slope on Vin, you have to increase the size of this inverter.
I need a good rise and fall time of the input.
Of the input, ना? तो अगर input का आपको rise और fall change करना है, तो जो input, ये input जिस inverter का output है, उसका output change करना है ना आपने. तो इसकी power बढ़ेगी. इस inverter की तो power कम ही होगी ना?
Okay, sir.
समझे?
So सर इसीलिए मतलब बैक टू बैक इन्वर्टर यूज कर सकते हैं, पीछे वाला बड़ा और अकेला छोटा.
नहीं. So वो साइजिंग कैसे करेंगे अभी हम उस पे आते हैं. पीछे वाला बड़ा नहीं होगा. There is a logical effort वाला चीज, will come to that in probably the next class. ठीक है?
So, sir, for example, in the assignment, the value of this rise transition times were very constrained. So this was the reason, because delay was like kept at 50 picosecond, but then transition times was kept at 20 picosecond. So this was the reason why we were constraining so much.
So see, now you're able to connect the dots. That
So
will happen, you know, that will happen more and
yeah.
more. You will see assignment में ऐसा ये चीज इसलिए बताई गई थी. So you will
Yeah.
see more of that.
And now I understand that, sir.
ठीक है? Okay, so let me see what is next. Yeah, let's cover beta ratio and noise margins in the next class. Is that okay? We'll close here.
Yes.
Okay. All the best, guys. See you on Wednesday then. In fact, I will be available in my office hours, but all of you may not come. So see you on Wednesday then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm stopping the recording.